Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Rainmaker Stories. I'm very happy to be in a conversation with Gurnoor Behl. A quick introduction to Gurnoor, and I'm sure Gurnoor, given your social media presence, everybody knows you by now, but let us do the usual song and dance on the intros. So, Gurnoor has over 14 years of experience in the social media space. She has a national level award in social media and is the only person in the world to be trained by LinkedIn, YouTube, Meta, and is also associated with X. She's highly skilled in helping her clients build a solid personal brand. She's a professional speaker, trainer, and an event host and founder of House of GKB, a social media and a content management firm. Welcome to the podcast, Gurnoor. I'm excited to be speaking to you. And I must say, you wear so many hats.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Nisha. I am so excited about this particular podcast. Yeah, that's a lot of hats that I do wear. I do. I don't know how I do it, but I'm really happy that I do it. I love what I do, and I'm so excited to be here and share whatever knowledge that I can.
Perfect. So let's not delay this and dive into our first question, Gurnoor. So we were also fortunate to be a part of LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program together, Gurnoor. And I remember the kind of impact you have. I have, in fact, attended some of your audio meets that you used to host on LinkedIn. And the way you connect with the audience, it's just, great. And I see that you're someone who emphasizes on the importance of building a personal brand a lot. So, what are the key elements that differentiate a strong personal brand from one that struggles to gain traction, especially in today's crowded digital media space?
What an important question. I'm happy that you didn't ask me, okay, what are the elements, but what actually makes it stronger? You see, first you need to understand that personal branding is different than content creation. Okay. So in this creator economy, everybody thinks that, oh, if you just create your content, you're a content creator, you'll become a personal brand. Absolutely not. First, to understand what are the key elements that make a strong personal brand, you have to understand personal branding. I always have this formula of sorts, which is basically content creator plus business or career goal is equal to personal brand. Okay. If you are just creating content on a whim, you are not going to go anywhere. You need to have a goal in mind. So, one of the things that make a very strong personal brand is that goal in itself. And where are you taking your content, not just for the audience, but for your own self?
Right.
Okay. So, that mindset is very important to have. Now, more technical aspects of things, I'm a firm believer of having a very solid profile and having a holistic approach. देखो हम we can't just be, if you want to be a personal brand, you can't be on one platform.
Right.
You can dominate one platform, but you can't be on one platform. फिर तो आप जैसे वो क्या कहते हैं अंधों में काना राजा या that frog in a well. You're just the king of that small little place. But if you really want to build a personal brand, you need to have a holistic approach. Profiles. Ensure that your profiles are all aligned. Your DPs are same everywhere. Okay,
Right.
so the profile and having that omnipresent view is
Right.
very important, right? So profiles, in fact, even when now this happened for me in 2020, COVID, right? What happened then was ki, as a business owner, I was running for business because business was getting over 60% of my business was impacted. But because I looked like a star on social media, on LinkedIn, what happened was even when I wasn't creating content, people came to me. For many years, 2020 turned out to be the most profitable year for me.
Yeah.
2020, because of my profile. I cannot tell you the importance of having a solid profile
Right.
on all your social media platforms, especially LinkedIn. Second is this can be challenging, but it is the most challenging to reach there, but the easiest once you're there. And that is to have authenticity in
Right.
your content.
Yeah.
Now, what you're asking me about what makes it different, right? What makes you better? That those elements. Yeah, just be one step bolder at every post.
Right.
Okay, creating content, but being more of you,
Right.
because you are your own USP.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
are the one. There are so many personal branding coaches. There's so many people you could interview for personal branding, Nishta, but you chose me. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm more me than I'm I'm as me as I can be.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I am my own USB. So I think putting yourself out there authentically and being vulnerable is works massively, but always adding value in your posts. Always having a mindset of giving. So
Right.
content creation also needs to be done in that manner.
Wow.
All right. Authenticity. And now with AI coming into the picture, people are really craving some real talk, you
Oh,
know.
true.
So that's there. I think I'm just going to leave it to three. And the third thing which I'm going to put over here, I cannot emphasize more on, is engagement.
Mm.
Please don't post and ghost, yeah. It's just like don't post and ghost. See, engagement is basically online conversations, right?
Right.
If you don't have a conversation, then you don't build relationships. And I'm
Mm.
a firm believer of building relationships,
Right.
right? So you want to create those conversation, engage with people.
Right.
Also, if you don't engage with other people, you can't really expect people to engage with you either.
That's true.
So I so even when I'm very, very busy and I'm not engaging with other people, I don't have that expectation that they are going to sit here and engage with my content.
Right.
Because if I'm not giving them, I should not be expecting.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Engagement leads to conversations, conversation leads to conversions.
Right.
And the entrepreneurial mindset that I have, I love money. So, so yeah, I think if I leave it to three, it's definitely going to be profile with a holistic approach throughout your social media platforms. Second is content,
Right.
but authenticity in
Yeah.
the content. And number three is engagement. Yeah,
Right. And I really love,
yeah,
Gurnoor, how you differentiated content creation and personal branding, because these two terms are often very confusing. And the way you added that goal wala angle was, perfect. And to, if I reflect on my journey, so I never had a creator sort of a background or an author sort of a credential or nothing. It just happened all of a sudden during COVID, when I was pregnant. And it came to my mind, Kare, even I am conscious to talk about my pregnancy. What happens to many other women who are just starting out or are in, the just mid level of their careers? Somebody who's as exposed as I am is finding it difficult. Ki, Arey, what will people think? Ki, ab ye kaam kaise karegi? That's when I thought, okay, I'll write a book. And that's when the book came out, I started my LinkedIn journey. And you're right, because I had a goal in mind that I need to talk about my book. I had the goal for it to reach places. And like you said, the number also, I just don't want to write a book. I want to make it a bestseller. So LinkedIn made it
yeah,
happen. And I then created content. Like you said, now I'm thinking, oh, wow, I was just following the advice Gurnoor just gave. And it panned out pretty well. Like that's how I landed the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program, a TEDx talk, and a lot of those things
wow.
flowed. So I think, guys, I am an example that what Gurnoor is saying, if you follow it, it actually works. So
I'm
thanks for
glad.
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for putting it out there. So Gurnoor, again, I was going through your profile and wow, it's been a while. Like you entered the social media industry in 2011 when it was pretty nascent in India, right? It was hardly what 8, 10
Yeah.
years old in India. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how
Yeah.
have you seen the landscape evolve over the past decade? And what are the most significant challenges and opportunities for brands and individuals in 2025?
Wow. This question is really making me reflect on my entire career, to be very honest. I remember, um, I remember that, so, I never thought that this would be a career option. I was actually going to become a diplomat. Like, I was going to study for IFS, not in IAS. I wanted to be a diplomat.
Wow.
So, since the age of 10, I was like, you know what, हम तो diplomat बनेंगे हम. Why? Because हमको फर्स्ट क्लास टिकट्स चाहिए थी टू ट्रैवल द वर्ल्ड. ठीक है, ये हमारा गोल था. वो तो फिलहाल अभी तक फर्स्ट क्लास टिकट्स नहीं मिली है लेकिन टिकट्स मिल गई है. ठीक है, बट ये था हमारा गोल. फनीली इनफ I'll just share a little bit. In the beginning, the whole idea was the UN, and I started with this social media online volunteering with a UN affiliated NGO called Indian Dreams Foundation. अब मैंने बोला यार, it was 2011. I was like, Facebook करना है, वो तो हम we were always on it. Facebook तो हम कर लेंगे. 1 hour before the interview, my dad told me, have a look at what social media even means. I saw that on Meri Fat Gayi. I was like, what the hell? Okay, this is not it. This is not what I had thought it'd be. Anyway, I was good at it, and I even managed to help at the age of 19, help a girl child get education through my efforts. And then I was like, if I'm creating a difference, then and I'm good at it, then I better stick to it. That's how it started. Now at that time, like I said, मैंने खुद उसे बोला कि फेसबुक तो हम कर लेंगे. That was the attitude of the industry at that time. That this is like nobody took me seriously. Nobody took me seriously when I started off talking about social media or actually getting into the industry, doing more work over there. My father is a retired general in the army, and so is my grandfather. So I come from a very like an army government kind of background, and nobody took this seriously. Okay, getting now at that point, even jobs and opportunities were very less regarding this. Having said that, it started picking up. Personal branding was as a career option not even a thing, because it was mostly ki if you have the social media skills, you have to put it in your brands and the marketing aspect of things. Initially, it was just about putting yourself out there, putting the brand out there. It wasn't so much about personal branding or company branding. It was just social media. It was
Right.
about putting yourself out there. Ads, I think, started picking up much later. I'm into organic, but I think ads also started picking up a little later.
Mm.
But getting people to understand was the main challenge back then. Now, from now, it has not only become, first, company branding was a luxury, then it became a necessity. Now, when I entered the personal branding space as an entrepreneur, again the same challenge. Now people are like, भाई कंपनी को ब्रांड करते हैं, पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग क्या होती है, मुझे करने की क्या जरूरत है.
Right.
So now I was like, I had to change that mindset as well. Now personal branding has become from being a luxury item to a necessity item. This I'm talking in terms of mindset. Now when you look at the technical aspects of things, the most impactful change has been about technology. All right. First, the number of platforms that have come up. Second, the number of tools that assist those platforms, from
Right.
schedulers, from
Mm.
third party schedulers, third party live options that are there, to AI coming into the picture, and
Right.
so many other things as well. Technology in itself has not only increased, but has the speed of how these tools have come into place has also increased.
Right. Yeah.
You have to constantly be on your feet,
Right.
constantly. Another thing is that now, one was mindset, second is the technical aspect, and third is the brands and the individuals involved. Earlier people were just, they did not give two hoots about social media and online presence, whether it was their company or it was themselves.
Right.
Now, what has happened is that even on a platform like LinkedIn, which is the last to enter the creator economy, there is an influx of content creators.
Right. Yeah.
Standing out is becoming more of a challenge.
Mm.
The algorithm is not giving us as much power as it used to.
Yeah.
It's just not. And hence, it becomes harder for us to stand out,
Right.
and even more important for us to stand out with our vision and our values.
That's true.
So that's the three. That's how I've seen it kind of evolve over
Evolve.
time.
Yeah.
I always Yeah, I always tell my juniors in the industry that the only difference between you and me is the fact that one, I can now tell what trends are going to happen, and two, that I have speed.
Right.
Okay, because everything else is the same between a fresher and a 14-year-old in the industry, which is research.
Right.
You have to keep researching.
Yeah,
You have to keep growing with the times. That cannot change.
it's
So
true.
that's how I've seen the landscape really evolve. Yeah.
And you're right, like that mindset shift from organizations to personal branding. Now we see the individuals have far more followers than the company that they represent.
Yes.
So people are
Yes.
like, wow, I need to start investing in this. I see so many people now getting into podcasts laga lo, or just being very active in giving their authentic point of view on the topical topic. Gen AI
Yeah.
bandwagon pe most of the people are jumping on, and everyone wants to give a view on the ethical aspects of it, on the branding aspects of it, and a lot of those things. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity, but with it, like you said, the space has become so crowded as well. A
Yes.
platform as new as LinkedIn also has an influx of creators. You can just imagine what's happening with the more matured, the YouTube and the Instagram and everything. It's
Yeah.
like all over the place. That's true.
Yeah.
So now I want to touch a little deeper on your personal branding work that you do, Gurnoor. So I read that through your social with GKB workshops and training sessions, you've educated over 7.5K individuals. So can you share a success story that highlights the transformative impact of your approach to personal branding and social media strategy? Like in these 14 years, that one story that stood out ki हाँ यार इस पे तो मैंने what a turnaround work I did with this one.
Yeah. एक स्टोरी ना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाती है. I think oh, I have been so blessed to have made these impacts in people's lives. I'll definitely share a few things which have made me believe more in my work for sure. I'll also share with you how personal branding has transformed my life. Right? So, but first for the others, the other clients, and that I've kind of worked with. I remember working with in my first the in the very beginning, about 8 years back, I started working with Paritosh Pathak. He is India's leading strategic networking coach. I worked with him multiple times over my career, so smaller projects and stuff I've worked with. And I told him that, listen, Paritosh, I'll make your videos, I'll fix your YouTube channel and stuff. And he had videos, like very those informal C videos. I organized and I created the videos with my team for him, edited and all of that. Now, this is less than a month, okay? And this is 2016, 2017 or so. And one day I get a call from him, and this is, like, listen, by the way, something happened. I said, what? I was shit scared. I was like, पता नहीं मैंने क्या कर दिया है अब, ठीक है? It so happened that Paritosh got the opportunity to speak before the president of India at one of at the chartered accountant. They have their official body, and why they wanted a speaker. Okay, they wanted a speaker and they wanted to know how Paritosh speaks. So rather than sending a video or something, he just sent his YouTube channel, which hardly had videos, only it was organized and it looked so professional.
Right.
Okay, so professional that they took him up as that one speaker before the president. And I was again a testament to how good your profile looks, you know. and and it also is that your follower count does not matter. So I think that really gave me a lot of confidence, that and it really helped me create a much better aesthetic, a much more credible personal brand rather than following vanity metrics that people follow. And I've always ensured that with my clients as well. That listen, build something solid. So that was one thing that really made a huge difference to me. I have seen so many of my clients um, go from having very less followers to a lot more followers. And then I think one more thing that kind of, it's not just the follower base, it's mostly a lot of like how people respond. So I remember I'm in Delhi and there's a women's networking platform called Leap, and somebody came to me and they're like, "Oh, you're a personal branding coach." I said, "Yeah, I am." So it's like we know one as well. She's also part of Leap, but she's in Bombay. And I said, "Okay." And she's like, "Do you know Komal?" And I was like, "Yes, I know Komal." So she's going on that. She's also a personal branding coach and this, that, vagera. And I was like, that's very nice. And right next to me, another, like lead member and student standing. And we both are smiling at each other. Why? Because Komal was trained by me. So it gives me so much of happiness to see how my students or people who've been trained by me, like people are recognizing them. They are going to places. So many people have gone TEDx talks. So first post से मतलब I can't really pinpoint on one thing per se, but एक पहले post से ही आपको opportunities मिल रही हैं. So it gives a lot of confidence that while you may not be going the way everybody else is, but I think I can confidently say today that my methods, however tede, are the fastest way to build your personal brand organically. इतना मैं कह सकती हूँ.
That is
तो
so
काफी
sweet.
stories हैं ना.
Yeah, like you said, no, कि मेरे student का ही सुन के, अरे, do you know? And you were in your heart like, oh yeah, I know her. Like, she's my student. So that's such a sweet walk
I
down
said
the
that
memory lane
I
for
said
you.
Yeah, it was really nice because Sana was standing next to me. She was a batchmate, and I didn't say anything at first. I was like, "Yes, I know Komal." After one or two triggers, I'm like, "Yes, she's trained by me only." So it was very nice. It's a beautiful feeling, Nishtha. It's a beautiful feeling. I think that's when I feel like I've achieved something. But I'll tell you what personal branding has when people ask me what has been your greatest success, it's not just the fact that I've helped so many people build their personal brands, but it's also the impact that I have eventually created. Me talking about my epilepsy, me talking about being queer. I remember this one person reached out to me on LinkedIn. I had just come out on LinkedIn. I came out on LinkedIn through like app only, and it was very scary. And I remember one person um, messaging me on DM that, "Hey, I was going to commit suicide, and after reading your post, I'm not going to be doing that and stuff." So, like, these kind of things are like, okay, putting yourself out there, being a little vulnerable yourself is basically worth it. So, I feel like if that's a great success for me,
Of course.
honestly.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Gurnoor, for sharing so many aspects of your life with us. And this leads me to this, very important question, which is, I think, a big part of your personality as well. So you're also the founder of Delhi Queer Spaces. I wanted to ask, how do you balance your work in personal branding with your commitment to creating an inclusive and equitable spaces for LGBTQ plus community in India? And especially, you are like a very authentic, relatable influencer or a real life person out there. Like you shared, when you came out on LinkedIn, there was a person you averted a suicide attempt of someone, which is such a touching thing to do, honestly. So yeah, how do you balance these two things, and what plans do you have? What impact do you think you can create in this space?
Thank you so much for this question. This is um, So, first of all, I think it's very important to understand that personal branding and my efforts with my second venture, Delhi Queer Spaces, is not very, um, they're not very different. Okay. How I look at it is that, and this reflects on the fact that um, your personal brand is not just your work per se. Okay. It's also everything that you are. So this is something I realized after about 1 year of starting with Delhi Queer Spaces, which was started because there was not enough um, space for लाइक एटलीस्ट फॉर मी लाइक मैंने बोला यार प्राइड मंथ के बाद में अब क्या करूंगी मैं ठीक है तो मैंने बोला कोई और तो कर नहीं रहा है तो मैं ही कुछ कर लेती हूँ सो इट वाज मोर ऑफ इट केम मोर फ्रॉम देयर and it's beautiful to see the how I managed to create with of course my team and the community in Delhi. Now, how is it not different? Because if you understand the essence of what personal branding is, it is about leveraging your most authentic self. Okay. First, finding your most authentic self, embracing it, and then putting it out there. And then leveraging that power of self. Yes,
Right.
you are a content, you're a personal brand yourself, you're a content creator. That's basically what it is, right? Now, if you look at identity in any case, now I always call myself four shades of diversity: woman, queer, disabled, and neurodivergent. Okay. If you look at identity in any way, that is also first something you need to embrace.
Yeah.
You need to be your most authentic self. And then you need to leverage that and see what power you have with that self. तो ये मेरे को बहुत देर के बाद स्ट्राइक हुआ कि एक्चुअली में एसेंस में वैल्यूज में ये तो सेम है
Right.
राइट एंड इफ दैट इज व्हाट गुरनूर इज it's not two different jobs.
Mm.
She's just being Gurnoor. She's just doing her best,
Right.
right? So, with the same passion that I work with personal branding and I help people bring out their authentic selves, even with Delhi Queer Spaces or the DQS came about in 2022, but I have been in the LGBT advocacy space for since 2019. So that whole process of helping people be more of themselves has been around. It's just who I am. Now, in terms of how work is, ये तो पहले passion project शुरू हुआ था. It just really worked out very well. And I was not expecting that we'd end up working with the biggest of brands, including Meta, including the number one bar in India, one of the top bars um, in the world, Sidecar, or working with, international brands for that matter, and the further plans that we have as well. And just by talking about all of this, I've also been in a web series for being, the first and only content creator web series on OTT, Social Superstar for personal branding and for as a personal branding and a
Wow.
LGBTQ influencer. so, so I've gotten a lot of opportunities and I'm beginning to see how these two things are not very different. How do I
Right.
manage it? Oh my God. Let's just say that I have a lot of love for it, but they both are managed like two different organizations. I have a fully employed team with House of GKB. I have and volunteer group with when it comes to Delhi Queer Spaces. We now only pick up less work but high impact work when it comes to brands, and when we have our own IPs as well. So in that case, what happens is that yes, you do need to work, you do need team, you can't do it by yourself. But the beautiful thing of both these companies is that they have the same essence, the same values. House of GKB has a community called the G Tribe, which is our clients and collaborators. I have understood over time that it is about others. It will always be about others. It is always going to be about community. It is always going to be about that. So कर लेते हैं, manage कर लेते हैं. It's time management skills. Yes, as an entrepreneur, you anyway hustle more than your work hours, more than you anticipate. Um, but at the end of the day, um, it's the same kind of impact. That's all. It's the same kind of impact. And I feel like um, I love doing it. Like after this, I'll be managing a little bit of DQS. I'll be also coordinating in the House of GK meeting. It just works. It just works. You just have to work. There's no other thing to it.
This was such a straight from the heart share, Gurnoor. And like you said, first you need to identify who you are. Like you sort of identified and accepted, okay, Gurnoor are these three, four things. And that, okay,
Yeah,
I am a woman and I'm queer, I am neurodivergent, I'm on the
disabled. Yeah.
spectrum and everything. And then you said, okay, this is my authentic self, and I'm going to bring this on the table for my community, for my followers, and I'm going to be true to my tribe and create that tribe. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that is one of the challenges which I think the so-called anxious generation today faces. People have a hard time in just first of all identifying or realizing who they are, और फिर
Mhm.
उसको authentically share करना तो थोड़ा बात की बात है. That first step itself, I think, takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of awareness, self awareness, to do that. So kudos, and
Yeah.
all the best, Gurnoor, for the great work that you're doing through and through. And we have, like, some time to squeeze in one last question, which I think would
Okay,
be
let's go for it.
very, yeah, very
Yeah.
useful for our listeners. So this question is for the benefit of individuals who are aspiring to build a career in social media strategy and personal branding. So, what
Mhm.
skills, mindset, and tools do you believe are essential to thrive in this field? Because today's generation, we have so many people who are aspiring for this. You may have noticed yourself, right? Like you must be getting a lot of DMs, and your client roster must be building out large. So, what would be your advice to these folks?
All right. Thank you so much for asking this question. I think I'll start with if you want to build a career in social media, um, and whether you take up personal branding as the niche or company branding, or it doesn't matter to you, there are some skills which are absolutely non-negotiable in terms of succeeding. And I'm an absolute shark about these. There is a reason I am where I am, and I am known for what I do. Um, and a few things. One is that you better be ready to hustle. त्याग दे दो सब कुछ को, ठीक है? If, but that is, yes, case for every industry. Yes, I speak for myself and my own industry. You better be ready to hustle. Social media, whether you are taking it up as a job or whether you are taking it up as an entrepreneurial venture, there is nothing known as a Saturday or a Sunday. If Republic Day is happening on Sunday, you better be putting that post, man. You have to. You better find ways to do it, right? So, one thing is that stop thinking you have a 9 to 5 job. You don't. You don't have a 9 to 5 job. Okay. So, if you want a 9 to 5 job, this is not your industry. Second is if you think that your job is only to post, you you can't. Okay, you need to learn how to find the content, create the content, edit the content. You need to know how to make them those reels, man. Like you really do. You need to know how to edit a video. I'm not asking you to make a film, but as a social media manager, you really do need to know how to make those videos like this, or make those stories, get engagement. If you think your job is to post and not engage, then you are not doing your job. So if you like, it's a very holistic thing. Earlier, no, when I started off in my career, it was fine posting. It was fine. But today you need to know, you need to have the skills of a graphic designer, at least know Canva. You need to have the skills of a video editor, you need to know all of those things, a videographer. You have to know how to click photographs. You have to have all these skills with you. But you don't have to be a professional at them, but you need to have these skills and you need to continuously upskill. Now, one of the challenges which I feel today's generation has is कि रील वील बना देंगे ये वो बट वो पढ़ते नहीं है.
Hmm.
You should see my books, Nishtha. I buy these books and then I make notes. I was never good in school. I was never good in school. I am one of the nerdiest nerds when it comes to social media. मेरे सीनियर्स को मेरे सामने खड़ा कर दो, मैं तो ये कहती हूँ. Nerdiest. Like I said, the only difference is only my speed and that I can predict trends. But everybody who wants to succeed today needs to understand. You need to understand the depth of how much work it takes. You need to keep reading, keep upskilling, keep learning. Yeah.
Right.
Also understand today's technology of AI. But AI is not copy paste, it is an assistant.
Yeah.
Right? So use the help of it, but don't make it your job because we guys can see through it. And nowadays, there are a lot of apps which kind of figure out if it's AI and then they they do not accept your work per se. So there's a lot of that checking that's also happening. You need to be ready. You need to have energy for this industry. You need the energy. You need the skill set. You need to take care of your health, your mental health. Social media does mess with your mental health.
Yeah.
It does.
Right.
But because you don't have a 9 to 5, you don't know whether you're working 5 days or you're working 7 days or how much you're working. The gaps, the breaks you need to take need to be a daily part of your routine.
Right. Yeah.
You have to be very strict about your morning being, you need to digitally detox.
Right.
You need to be very strict about it.
Yeah.
And more than anything, Nishtha, whether you are getting into this industry to be a social media manager or somebody who wants to build personal brands or individual brands, company brands, you cannot succeed if you are not working on your own social media presence. मैंने अब नॉन नेगोशिएबल बना दिया है हायरिंग में. यू हैव टू बी अ कंटेंट क्रिएटर. आई डोंट केयर अबाउट योर फॉलोअर्स, but if you're not experimenting on yourself, you do not know the features, you do not know tactics.
Yeah.
You will not take risk at work, but you can take risk on yourself.
Right.
And of course, it brings you better opportunities considering if you are. So if you're not a brand yourself, I don't want to hire you.
Right.
क्योंकि मुझे आपका रियल एसेंस तो आपके काम पे दिखेगा ना कि आप अपने साथ क्या कर रहे हो.
So,
You are living your job. So
yeah.
I feel that apart from these technical aspects, you got to be that person. You got to be a brand yourself, or at least try to be. So today's social media manager is all of these things. And also, one last thing, I would say this is not for the person who is aspiring to be, but for those who are hiring. You need to involve your social media manager in your business goals.
Right.
You need to tell them what does this post mean and why should this kind of content or what kind of content needs to be put out there, because this is our company goal or this is my personal branding goal.
Right.
तो वो उस एंगल से देखें. यू हैव टू इन्वॉल्व योर सोशल मीडिया मैनेजर. यू हैव टू इन्वॉल्व देम. सो आई फील लाइक the industry has really evolved, the job has really evolved.
Right.
And you need to take that manager very seriously, and that manager better take his job very seriously.
That's
So
true.
yeah.
So I think that is
Yeah.
such a holistic advice, Gurnoor. You covered all aspects of it because, many a times the younger folks, at least, they feel like, अरे ये तो बहुत glamorous है. All you need to do is, wow, just put out that post, and then you'll get invites to be on these, talks and different podcasts. So the glamour side sabko dikhta hai, but it's so good you gave a reality check in terms of, oh, you need to get your hands dirty, and this is not
You
really a
really
nine
do.
to five thing. You need to know the hard technical skills. You need to engage. Like you said, you can't just post and ghost. It's like it's an entire sort of a, the social media is like has its own lifespan. It can take a lot from you. That one post
Yeah.
needs a lot from your technical skills to posting it and then engaging. And it's very good you
Yeah.
brought on that balanced aspect as well, that somewhere you need to detox as well, protect
Yeah.
your
Very
mental
important.
health. That's very important. Only then you can,
Yeah.
do best every day. If you're
I
drained
still do it.
mentally, yeah, if you're like drained mentally, you can't bring in the best gurnoor on table the next day, right? If you're
Yeah.
still hung up on what you did like yesterday or the day before.
I'll tell you,
So
Nishta, I 14 years. I have a social media manager. I have one. Okay. I still do all these things.
wow.
I still get my hands dirty. I tell him, okay, you have work, this caption I will write, or I feel like writing this one. I still tell him, we have so many accounts in manage. I said, no, I'll write this.
So you still get
I,
your hands
I,
dirty, yeah.
yeah,
Like
I
doing the
still digitally detox. Yeah, till date. अपना content तो मैं खुद लिखती हूँ.
hmm,
I do that. That is why it's not the most consistent at this point, even though it's better than before. But I do that. That is mine. I help with other things because I like getting my hands dirty. I also feel like it's creative juice also to
right,
guide. I still digitally detox. In the morning, in the middle, and at night.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, still do it,
You need that
and I
balance.
and I go to therapy. I
Hmm.
do. I think we all need to go, especially a social media manager. So yeah,
That's true. And actually, and this is also to talk about it openly as well, right? Because people for the longest time have been hiding a lot of the struggles which go behind putting up a brave front, or like, always an enthusiastic front. Like you said, social media, you need energy, you need enthusiasm. I myself observe, like if I go and look on your YouTube or your LinkedIn, I'll be like, wow, Gurnoor does it all, so energetic. And if I feel like, oh, but why do I fall short like, there are periods when I do it, but then there are periods when I fall short or I'm not feeling up to it. But if I have those unrealistic standards, thinking that, oh, how come these people are doing it 24/7 for 365 days in a year? That's a wrong benchmark. So it's very important, like you
yeah,
said, that you're bringing your authentic self, you're sharing it on a podcast that, hey, I go through therapy, I do detox. To be that energetic self, I also take a pause. So I think that's a very
yeah,
important message, that all of us need that balancing act, and it's okay to take it. It's not like you don't
yeah.
have to set yourself to unrealistic standards all the time.
And if you
So,
can't do it, it's okay. Take a
yeah,
break.
yeah, true. Just
Yeah,
that has been the theme of our conversation today, Gurnoor. Be authentic in your personal life, in your professional life. And if you are
yeah,
authentic, you will basically bring best to the table in whatever you do.
yeah. Absolutely. That for
So
sure.
thank
Yeah,
you so much, Gurnoor. Thank you for this candid conversation. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm sure
I
our
did too.
listeners are going to enjoy it a lot. So thank you so much for taking out the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait to keep listening to this conversation on repeat and making people like sharing it with my industry people. And I really hope that it's going to help them. And thanks for having me and my very candid thoughts. They can be a little interesting.
They were
Yeah.
very interesting. Okay. Thanks, Gurnoor. Bye.
Bye bye.